I need your help, please subscribe my channel. The moment his hand slipped from mine, I felt something inside me crack. At first, I convinced myself Ethan had only stepped out for some air, maybe to grab another drink or greet someone at the party. But the way his shoulders stiffened, the hard set of his jaw, and the refusal of his eyes to meet mine told me this wasn't casual. This was something else. And then, before I could even understand it, he was gone. Out the door, no words, no backward glance. I stood frozen in the middle of the living room, surrounded by laughter, music, and chatter. But to me, it felt like the entire floor had tilted. That was when the fear struck me like a cold wave. Because when a husband walks out of a party, not with anger, not with drama, but in silence, it usually means he already knows the truth. 8 years of marriage lay behind us. Years I thought were steady, reliable, built on routines that stitched our lives together. Morning coffee at the kitchen counter, long drives with playlists we'd carefully made, lazy Sundays bickering over crossword clues. We were never perfect, but I believed we were solid. Yet recently I had felt him drift. Not with coldness, not in hostility, but with a quiet withdrawal. He had become watchful, more restrained, almost like he was waiting for something. When our friend Jenna invited us to her birthday, I felt almost relieved. Maybe the night out would shake away the fog between us. I took extra care getting ready, slipping into the dress he once said made me look untouchably beautiful. I wanted that look in his eyes again, the one that made me feel chosen. The party buzzed with life. Music and laughter filled the house, barbecue smoke curled in the evening air, and people greeted us with warmth. For a while, it felt normal again. Ethan smiled, even teased Jenna about her love for karaoke. But then he slipped away into the kitchen. And when he returned, something had shifted in his face. It was subtle, but I knew. His eyes scanned the room, lingered on me for a moment, then moved past me, toward him. My stomach twisted. Daniel. The mistake that had already haunted me for months. I had ended it weeks ago, but there he was, standing in the same room as my husband. Daniel caught my eye and gave the slightest nod, acknowledging the secret we shared. It was enough. Ethan saw it. I knew he did by the way his body tensed, by the tremor of his glass before he set it down. He didn't need words. And then he walked away. I should have followed immediately, but panic pinned me in place. Excuses spun in my head, each one weaker than the last. By the time I stumbled outside, his car was gone. The drive home was agony. Every red light stretching into eternity. My phone buzzed with messages from friends checking if everything was fine, but Ethan never wrote. When I pulled into the driveway, his car was there. The porch light glowed, waiting. Inside, silence pressed heavy on the walls. He sat at the kitchen table, jacket still on, a half-empty glass of whiskey before him. He didn't look up when I stepped inside. "Ethan," I whispered, my voice fragile. "Can we talk?" For a long time he stayed still. Then finally, his voice cut through the air. "Who is he?" My chest clenched. "What do you mean?" I tried to laugh, to play dumb. His eyes stayed fixed on the glass. "Don't do that, Claire. Don't insult me." I swallowed. "It's nothing. It's over." He lifted his head then, eyes blazing with pain. So there was something. The silence between us was sharper than any argument. He didn't yell, didn't accuse, didn't slam his fist against the table. He just looked at me with every ounce of hurt visible in his eyes. That hurt was worse than rage. I wanted to explain, to tell him Daniel meant nothing, that I was lost, weak, that it ended before it began. But the words strangled in my throat. "How long?" he asked. 3 months, I whispered. He closed his eyes, the number heavy enough to crush us both. Was it worth it? No, I cried. It was the worst mistake of my life. He gave a hollow laugh. Funny. I thought I was the mistake of your life. From then on, cracks spread through our home like unseen fractures. He moved into the guest room. At meals, the only sound was cutlery against plates. Doors closed softly but firmly between us. I kept trying to apologize, trying to explain that Daniel was nothing more than a stupid escape during a hard time. But Ethan never softened. "It wasn't meaningless to me," he said one night, voice ragged. "Because now every time you smiled at me, every time you touched me, I'll wonder if it was really for me, or if it was for him." That kind of betrayal doesn't wash away. It stains everything. A week later, he came home late. He stood in the doorway, pale and hollow-eyed. I saw him today. Daniel. My stomach lurched. He nodded. He didn't look guilty. Didn't look nervous. Just smug, like he'd stolen something that was mine. I reached for him, but he stepped back. Do you know what that does to me, Claire? Knowing another man had pieces of you that should have been mine alone. His voice broke, tears glistening in his eyes. Seeing him cry shattered me. I want to fix this, I begged. Please tell me how. But his silence was the answer. His decision. The next morning, I found a letter on the kitchen counter. Not dramatic, not cruel. Just the quiet truth. I love you, but I can't unsee what I saw. I can't unknow what I know. I've been walking through this house like a ghost, and I realize now it's because we're already gone. I don't hate you, Claire, but I don't trust you. And without trust, love is just pain. He packed his bags softly. No slam doors, no harsh words, just the zip of suitcases, the shuffle of steps, and finally, the click of the front door closing. And then he was gone. The party that I thought might bring us back together had instead ended everything. I replayed that moment endlessly. The way his hand slipped from mine. The look in his eyes when the truth struck him. I didn't lose him in fire and fury. I lost him in silence. And that silence roared louder than anything else in my life. Every night since, I've sat at the kitchen table where he once confronted me, staring at the empty chair across from mine. The house still carried his scent, but it faded a little more each day. They say time heals. But some wounds don't close. They scar, leaving you forever tracing the jagged outline of what you destroyed. I thought betrayal was a mistake that could be buried, a secret that could fade. But Ethan taught me something when he left without rage, only silence. Betrayal isn't about the act itself. It's about the trust you broke. And once broken, it can never be whole again.